Yo, what it do, y'all? It's Mike Titan, the Game Savant, and we are back here with our top 10 games list of 2021. As always, I'm joined by my brother, my homie, Dom Freshly Snipes. How are you today?
Pretty good, man. I can't just stop looking at that Kid Boo poster. But yeah, man, it was a interesting year for video games, to be honest with you. We're officially in year one, you know what I'm saying, of the PS5 and Xbox Series X. We had a bunch of good, we had a bunch of bad too. GTA Definitive Edition and No More Heroes 3. But overall, though, I'll say the good outweighs the bad this year.
Yeah, you can definitely say that. I mean, you know, the next gen consoles are still a little bit difficult to get, but for people who do have them, you have some exclusives, you know, maybe more so on the PlayStation than the Xbox side. I will say the one thing I've learned the most this year when it comes to gaming, I've learned that sometimes if you bought a game or you're playing a game and you get about halfway through it or a quarter of the way through it and you're not feeling it, it's okay to not finish the game. It's okay to delete a game if you don't think you're going to finish it. Also, I kind of think I've learned this year that I'm not a huge fan of platformers, but I'll get into that in some of the selections on my list. But yeah, this year I've just learned that's like, you know what? I think I'm just going to stick to games that I know I'm going to try to finish, or at least genres, because I've been kind of a little bit everywhere the past couple years, just trying out different stuff. But definitely this year I learned that it is okay. Like if you don't like a game, you're not obligated to anybody but yourself maybe to finish it. But as we always do, we start off our list with games that we wish we played. Again, me saying going into different stuff that I've been dabbling with. I'll kind of just run through these because these are some games that you may have heard of, may not have heard of. First one is Death's Door. Pretty much you play as a Crow Reaper and your job is to get the souls of dead things, and it's kind of like a agency almost to a sense. This one is on Game Pass. It's not on Game Pass, I'm sorry, I bought this one. I thought it was on Game Pass, but it's kind of like a little bit kind of like old school Zelda in a sense, where you kind of like same combat, but it's got a very good premise, and a lot of people that have played it said they really liked it. My next one is Eastward, which is on the Switch and PC. Yeah. Same thing, kind of like an old school Zelda vibe, but that one I really wanted to get into. Next one, and I'm actually mad I didn't buy this one, is The World Ends With You Neo. It's the sequel to the first World Ends With You, which for y'all that played it, I believe it was on the 3DS and it was a touchscreen. This one is not touchscreen, thankfully. You know, you have different controls, but that's one I wanted to get into. The next one, I'm really mad I didn't get into this, also because a good friend of mine gave me this game because he was a supporter of it. Sonic, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. Psychonauts 2. He was so gracious to give me a Steam code, and I have not played it yet. But that's
terrible.
I know, and I feel so bad, but that probably will be one of the games probably towards the beginning of the year that I start and play through because I've heard nothing but good things about it. The next one is Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin. It's essentially a JRPG-ification of the Monster Hunter games. It's kind of like Pokemon, where you catch different monsters and they have different types. So y'all know I'm all about those JRPG turn-based games. Next one is Kena Bridge of Spirits. This game looks gorgeous. It's actually made by an animation studio, and this is their first attempt at a game. And it looks cutesy, but a lot of people say that the combat is very Dark Souls-like, so it can get a bit difficult. I think it's on PS5 and PC, so that one I'm probably be another one of the games that I play at the beginning of the year. Next one is Far Cry 6. I mean, I'm a Far Cry fan. I was planning on getting this one when it came out, but other stuff came out at the time, and just looking at it is like, all right, I know what this one is. I'm gonna have to set aside some time because all the Ubisoft open world games can be very bloated for sure. But this one I probably will hop into at some point in time. My next one,
just to kind of don't be in a hurry. As a person who played it, only because like it's to the point to, you know, besides Giancarlo Esposito, it's still the same Far Cry formula. Yeah, gotcha. So
that's kind of wait. Okay, I'll probably wait for a deep sale on that one. Next one is Shin Megami Tensei 5. For y'all that may not know, this is the series that Persona originated from or spun off from. It just looks like a good game. Like I said, I love JRPGs, probably one of my favorite genres of games. And I honestly was about to buy this one, but I started playing another JRPG on my list, which can take some hours to finish. So I figured I don't want to try to juggle two of them at the same time. So this will definitely be a game that I start pretty much next year. Next one is Ruined King, a League of Legends story. So Riot Games, who makes League of Legends, they're starting to their League of Legend multiverse. So they have a TV show, Arcane. They have two games. They got a fighting game coming out called Project L, which looks pretty promising. This is basically a turn-based RPG of certain characters, and it's made by the same team that made Battle Chasers Night War, which is another indie game that I enjoyed a couple of years ago. It's honestly looks like the same game, just with League of Legends skins, which I'm not mad at because I enjoyed that game thoroughly. And then my last one is going to be a game called Fights in Tight Spaces on Steam. Do you remember the game John Wick Hex that came out like years ago? So imagine that, except for instead of it being a strategy game, it's a deck builder game. So
wow,
you're pretty much John Wick, and then you have cards that give you like, oh, do a kick and it pushes this person back and all this, and it's a nice fun game. I played the demo of it, but that one I'll definitely get into. But that's the games I wish I would have played. As I said, there's a couple of more on my honorable mentions that I didn't a chance to put time into. But speaking of that, we'll hop into that and I'll let you get yours first.
So my honorable mention, it kind of fits into your category, but the only difference is I played these, I just didn't finish them. So for me, it was just a little bit hard to like, put them in my top 10, but well, except this one. So Outriders. It came out at the beginning of the year, you know what I'm saying? It started out buggy and a little bit glitchy, but like, you know what I'm saying, the latest update, it has like gotten better over time. I haven't like played it since it got updated because, as you said earlier, a bunch of other stuff has definitely coming out and taken time, but I did enjoy Outriders, you know what I'm saying, for the time that I did play it. My next one is Returnal for the PS5. I started this game, and look, I ain't gonna lie, this probably has one of the hardest opening level bosses of games that came out this year. Like, to the point to where like any boss you fight after that, it's a cakewalk compared to like, you know what I'm saying, like the opening boss. But graphically, it looks amazing. That's like one of the first games to where you can be like, okay, that's a PS5 game. You know what I'm saying? With the way it looked, technology. So, like I said, Returnal, like I said, I just didn't finish it, but I enjoyed it. Psychonauts 2, which is a game you said you didn't play. I started it. I enjoyed the first game. So I kind of knew what I was going to get, you know what I'm saying, for the most part with this one. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I am a big platformer, so it was interesting. Like I said, I just didn't finish it. And last but certainly not least, Metroid Dread for the Nintendo Switch. When I did have time to play this game, I loved it. You know what I'm saying? Because when you think about the time from when this came out from the last Metroid game, it's been a nice little minute. But you know what I'm saying? The way the combat is and the story, I love Metroid Dread. So those are my honorable mentions. I know some big heavy hitter titles besides Outriders, but some big heavy hitter titles. Like I said, they just didn't make the cut because I did not finish the game. So y'all don't kill me.
No, and totally understandable. Like you said, this was a good year for games. Like you said, a lot of stuff came out. It may have not been like the bona fide, this is going to be game of the year contenders that we usually get, 6 or 7 each year, but definitely there was a lot of stuff coming out this year, even with all the, COVID and stuff getting pushed back. So it definitely made it a little bit difficult this year to try to get through everything. My honorable mentions, this first one, I really just put on here, even though it came out a long time ago, just for the simple fact that you can actually buy it again. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game, the complete edition. As you and me both know, we attempted on 2 separate consoles to try to play this online, and I'm not sure if it's been fixed or not yet, but I did play a good chunk of the game by myself offline. Did a little bit of co-op with the missus, but just the fact that you can even buy this game, I feel like it deserves a spot. Next one is the one you mentioned, Outriders. I actually enjoyed this game. I really didn't run into any issues until I got a glitch where basically I did a boss fight, but the game didn't register that I killed the boss. And it was like that for a while, but eventually I did beat the main campaign, and I didn't really care about doing the post game stuff to try to grind for like the legendary gears and things like that. But overall, it was an okay game. It pretty much served its purpose. It was I would say it's kind of like Gears with powers, like with magical abilities and things like that. So of course the writing was very B movie. Yeah, tongue-in-cheek, very B movie. You're not taking it too serious, but it did what it was supposed to. Next one is Nier Replicant, and I'm not saying the long numbered version just because it's weird. It's
a long ass number.
It is. And I forgot to write it on my list. I actually really enjoyed this game, so I feel bad that I never finished Nier Automata when it originally came out. So seeing as this is the game, I guess technically the prequel to it, even though Automata takes place way after this game, it's a remake of another game which apparently had two different versions, one in Japan and one in the US, where the character was either a young boy or a grown man with his daughter. Weird stuff there. But if you like Nier Automata, basically it's the same thing. They did update the combat to mirror Niers because the original combat in this game was a little iffy, outdated, because I think this came out like in the early 360 and PS3 times.
Yeah, so
definitely great updates there. But yeah, Nier Replicant was a very good game, very good story. Next game, this game I can probably guarantee you, if I would have bought this game when it came out, or if I actually would have finished this game, it probably would be in my top 5. But seeing as I'm only in the second chapter of it, I can't put it any higher, is Guardians of the Galaxy. I'll
give you a pass on that.
Thank you. Because I was thinking about like, man, I could put this in my top 10, but it's like I'm literally like, I just finished the spaceship prologue.
Oh,
yeah. And I know it gets deeper into that, but this probably will be something that I finish over the holiday break. But yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy, after the Marvel's Avengers debacle, I know a lot of people were hesitant because this kind of had the same thing over it, but it don't feel worried. It's pretty much like what Avengers should have been, even though you only play as Star-Lord. That's kind of like my only thing. Like I would have loved to just beat stuff up as Drac or play as Groot and do stuff, but having them tag in to do moves kind of supplements that a little bit. But yeah, the writing, the story of this game is very good. The game is freaking phenomenal on PS5. Like who was it, the space, the Nova Corps lady, her daughter, like her face like looks photorealistic to a face that you would see in real life. I mean, all of them do, but hers just stood out the most to me for some reason. But yeah, as I said, I'm super early in this game, so if I would have been more into it, or at least closer to the end, it definitely would have made my top 10. Next one is Forza Horizon 5. I am not a huge racing game fan at all, but this is just the perfect game that you can just chill, drive, zone out to. You don't got to worry about coming in first place. Like it's one of the, and it's like one of those what do I say, those dopamine games where like you just turn on the game and do something. It's like, hey, here's a free car, here's a free pants, like, you know, it just constantly giving you stuff, you know. That feels nice that you don't have to, like, you know, you can just play a game and actually get stuff. You don't have to like grind a bunch of hours like some of the games in my list just to get one thing.
Yeah, I'm already having flashbacks.
Next game, so this game I actually beat. Only reason it's not in my top 10 is because it's kind of a played out thing. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. So I bought me Diamond, and I bought my wife Pearl. I've never played any of the Diamond and Pearl games. I think I originally stopped after Gen 3. Ruby and Sapphire was kind of when I fell off. And then I played Sun and Moon, didn't finish those. And then I got Sword. She finished it, but I'm still like right after where you get your starter Pokemon. So I never really started that game. But I was like, you know what? It'll give me something to play on the Switch. And honestly, this was just a nice game I could play at work whenever I wasn't on calls, or like be in the living room just chilling playing. Like it's pretty much Pokemon. I will say though, and I see what now why people say it, Cynthia, the Pokemon champion in this game, probably the most difficult trainer. Like I was for the most part, until like the last 2 or 3 people in the Pokemon League, I was pretty much over leveled, because now you get experience all automatically, so all your Pokemon gain levels in battle. So I was pretty much just like blowing through the whole game. But once I got to her, and like all of her Pokemon except for one are dual types, and it's the thing where it's like you'll have the weakness against that type, and then they'll do a move to your Pokemon's weakness. And I was just like, it took me a couple of chances, a couple of tries, but I definitely got it. But it was just a nice, chill, you know, not too difficult game. Just lay back, you know, catch some things, do some stuff. So that's why it's on my honorable mentions. The next one, and this game also probably would have been in my top 10 if I would have finished it. It just came out like maybe a week ago, so it's still a little fresh. It's the Gunk. It's on Game Pass. I kid you not, when this game is basically just a glorified vacuuming simulator.
Basically, yeah.
But it's kind of got a charm. So it takes place with these two people. I guess they're space, I don't want to say pirates, but like space people, and they're going to this new planet to try to get resources to sell to make money. I guess it's like like a brand new planet that nobody's been to, basically. But it's covered with this gunk, and the gunk basically just sucks all the life and vegetation out. So when you get rid of the gunk in an area, it opens up and it like becomes colorful. It kind of reminds me of what's that game? Okami, where like you would have to like color stuff in.
The pen,
yeah. So instead of the pen, you just suck the gunk up. But it's a nice little charming game. Light platforming, you know, you have a arm that has a vacuum in it, so you use that to suck up the gunk, do platform puzzles, things like that. It's a very nice chill game. This has been like my before I go to bed game for probably the past couple of days, just because it's not too serious, you know, the combat's not even that difficult, but it's only like a 6 or 7 hour game, so I'll probably finish it within the next week. But it is a very nice, if you just want something like nice and serene to kind of chill to, it's very good for that. Next one, Pokemon Unite. I was heavy on this game when it came out on the Switch. I have no prior knowledge of MOBAs. I was just like, oh, it's Pokemon, I can play as Venusaur and Solar Beam people. It's been pretty good. I have hopped off it recently, just because it's really best played with a team, and I don't really have 4 other people that I can constantly play this game with, so solo queue can be a pain in the butt. But if you're into MOBAs, and of course if you like Pokemon, like who doesn't, it's definitely a good game to play. And now it's on mobile, so I'm probably sure the player base has grown a lot now that people could just access it on their phones instead of having to have a Switch. Next one is called Echo Generation, which is on Game Pass. I saw this, I want to say last year, either at E3 or something, and just like the art style just kind of drawn to me. It's kind of like Minecraft art style, but like if it was kind of smoothed out a little bit, not as blocky. It's a turn-based RPG. The best way I can describe this, and I've never seen this show, but this, like the reviews I've seen have said this kind of draws inspiration. It's kind of like Stranger Things, but like an RPG.
That's interesting. Actually, I'm gonna have to check that out.
So basically, you play as a kid, and you can choose them. Like they have pre-made, so you can make a white kid, black kid, male, female, and you and your little sister go around, and it's kind of weird because you just kind of go around doing stuff, but then weird stuff starts happening. Like an alien ship crashes. You have to go to your school to get an item, and you fight a ghost of some girl who got left at prom years past. Like it's very weird, surreal, type of stuff. And this is also another short game. You could probably beat it in like 8-10 hours. I'm about halfway through it, but it's been very interesting. And it kind of has like that thing where like you press A when you get attacked and you can take less damage.
Okay.
If you press a button during your attack, you can do more damage and you get different upgrades and things like that. But yeah, if you're into that type of thing, into the Stranger Things, I guess how it looks, lore, yeah, like that, this would be a good one to check out. And then my last one, also another game that I've had since it came out in April, but I just recently started playing it like 4 or 5 days ago, and it's starting to slowly take over my life. Loop Hero. So you know how you, what do they call those games, like those idle games?
Okay, yeah.
So this is basically like an idle management game. So pretty much what happens, you start off and basically the world got deleted, destroyed or something, and you just wake up in darkness and you're like, man, I remember we had a world before, but now I don't, you lost your memories. So it starts on this loop, and pretty much as you go through the loop, monsters will spawn and you automatically fight the monsters. Like, you don't do anything with combat, but when you beat them, you get like swords, shields, resources, things like that. So after the tutorial, you close the loop and then you go back to this camp and they'll be like, hey, you're a person. What happened to the world? I don't know what happened. All right, let's build a camp to figure out what happened. And pretty much the two main things of the game is when you're in the loop and you fight stuff, but then you get cards. So like you'll get a card where it's like, all right, this card will place a chest on the time loop, or it'll place monsters on the time loop. And the thing about it, the more monsters and the harder monsters that you defeat, you get more loot. So you get more resources to build stuff at camp. You get better gear so you can fight longer, and you just keep going until either you die and you lose all your stuff, or there's kind of like a, like, you know, in Monopoly where like there's a start thing. So whenever you go to that start thing, you heal up and it continues the loop. I was a little iffy because it's not the best graphically. It looks like a MS-DOS game, to be honest, but it's kind of got me hooked. It's also one of those things that I played before I go to sleep, where I was like, all right, I'm just going to put in about 30 minutes. And then 2 hours later, I'm like, I got all this gold gear. I can keep going, because as you go through the loop, the enemies that come up get more difficult. So you get higher, you know, damaging enemies and things like that. So it's kind of a thing where it's like, all right, do I want to keep going on this loop until I fight something that I can't beat? Or do I want to keep my resources and go back and try to figure out what I need to build with camp? So this is something that I've been putting a bunch of hours in the past couple of days. And also, if I would have played it, because it came out originally on April, and I think it just came to the Switch like maybe a couple weeks ago, beginning of December, this also would have been on my top 10 lists if I would have played it originally. But I see why people like this game now. I can definitely see it.
Yeah, I can see that, because you sound so excited when you was talking about it.
I did. Shit, I played some this morning. I was just like,
see, yeah.